Hey, sweet faces. It's so good to see you. I hope you are ready for your first homework of the 2023 school year. We're going to continue talking about fractions, but looking at them a little bit differently because we're starting to, instead of just looking at our fractions, we're also going to start making them ourselves. Now, a couple of reminders as we head into this. Please remember that fractions are made of equal pieces. Now we are drawing to the best of our ability, so they're not going to be exactly perfect, but we're going to do our best to show what we know. So let's get started. With these, we are going to take these shapes and cut them into our fractional pieces. Now, you could use a ruler if you'd like to. You don't have to. Some of us may have rulers, some might not. But if I want to cut this into two equal pieces, and I'm looking at the way that I can do that. Now, if I turn my ruler this way, that would kind of work. And if I turn it this way, well, not so much, right? We can see here that that's not going to give us two equal pieces. So what I want to do is I want to focus on my corners here and see the best way to cut it in half. And the way that I chose to do it is up and down like this. Now my ruler was off a little bit. What's the point of having a ruler if you don't use it correctly? Let's see if I can get this a little bit closer. I'm going to move it just a tiny bit for the drawing feature. There we go. That is better. So two equal pieces. Again, I need to just move it over just the tiniest bit, but we're not going to spend too much time trying to get it perfect because perfect doesn't exist in people. But we want to have two equal pieces. Now for our circle, three equal pieces. This can be a little bit tricky because what we want to do is we want to cut this in a way that makes three equal pieces, which means that we can't do this, right? This is not going to give us three equal pieces no matter how we do it up and down. And we also cannot turn it this way because it's still not going to give us three equal pieces. So what we want to do is think of the way that we saw pictures of thirds. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and figure out about where the center of our circle is. And we're going to draw into about there and stop. And then we're going to flip it over a little bit. And we want to get our thirds. Now, again, it's not going to be perfect. We're just going to do our very best to get it there. But we want to have thirds. And let's see if I can erase this little tail. Oh, I erased it all. As you can see, I don't expect it to be perfect for you. I can't make it perfect for me. But when we're looking for thirds, we're looking for something similar to that. Probably better if you free draw it, but you get the idea. Now, fourths. Fourths with a square. We're going to start by cutting it in half. Like that. And then I'm going to flip it this way because 4 pieces means half of a half. So when I do it this way, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. All right, we're going to keep moving and grooving. It's going to get a little bit harder as we go. Again, for this one, we want to try and kind of find the middle, put a dot there, and then from the middle, we want to go up and over because this has 5 points, and we're going to use that to help us split it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from that point that I decided is about the center, and I'm going to draw out to the points because when I do that, that should make me 5 pieces because there are 5 points. And let's see how we do. We have one more point to go to. And there we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this circle, it wants us to get equal pieces on a circle. Again, a circle is tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by cutting it in half. All right, now I have 2. Now to make 6, that means that each of these halves have to make 3 pieces, right? Because 6 is a doubles fact and 3 plus 3 is 6. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to try and come from the middle and go 1, 2, 3, and do it on the same way on the other side. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now for our last one, we have a couple of options with how we can do this. I could cut it in half this way, And then I could make 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is just one way. We know that the cool thing about math is I could do it multiple ways. The other way that you might have come up with this one is if you, and let's see if I can move this just the tiniest bit, just did 8 pieces up and down, almost like you're making cheesy bread. 2. Let's cut that and make 3 and 4, and then I would make 4 more on this side. 1, 2, and 3. Now these aren't perfect, but you get the point. I can make 8 strips up and down. All right, so faces, that's the end of our first page. If you have any questions, please bring them with you to class. All right, so faces, welcome to page 2, where we are given the picture and asked to name that fraction. So for this first one, I am asking you to name this fraction. Now, I told you that there are 4 pieces, and I would like the fraction for the pieces that are shaded. Now, if you gave me the pieces that were white, or you gave me both, that is absolutely okay as long as you are practicing the skill. So there's 4 pieces all together, and the number that I have is 1. Now, if I did the white pieces would be 3 out of 4. Because I have 3 white pieces and 4 make the puzzle. Remember that this bottom number does not change. We're just talking about what we have. Remember in class we said, okay, I could also ask you the number of orange pieces. And if we look at this picture, I think we can all agree that there are no orange pieces. So the fraction of orange pieces would be 0 out of 4. Right? We have lots of options. Over here, fraction of gray pieces are 3/5. If I wrote the white pieces, it would be 2/5. Over here, it doesn't matter if I did gray or white, both of them would be 1/2. I have 2 pieces in total. 1 is gray, 1 is white. Over to our next shape, we have 5 pieces. 4 of them are gray. If I did the fraction for white pieces, it would be 1/5. Down here, I have 4 total pieces. 3 of them are gray. If I did the pieces for white, it would be 1/4. Down to this one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 of them is gray, which means 6 of them are white. Remember, we're talking about the whole. If we add the pieces of each, so if I take the gray pieces plus the white pieces, it should equal how many pieces we have all together. So that's a great way to check if you're writing both fractions. Is 6 plus 1 7? Yes, that means we've talked about all the pieces. All right, now that is the end of our second page. If you have any questions, bring them with you to class. All right, my loves, welcome to page 3, where I have given you the fraction and I want you to color it for me. Now, for this one, there is only one correct answer, right? Because I am telling you exactly what I'm looking for. So for this first one, I'm saying that we have 4 pieces. I want you to shade in 1 of those 4. Now, you could pick to shade in any of these as long as only 1 is shaded. Second one I asked for is 2/3. So we're going to color in 2 of the 3. The next one we're going to do is 2/5. So 2 of the 5. My pen is really, really big. Let's see if we can make it a little bit smaller. Okay. Over here, we're going to do 5 of the 6. Oh, that just made it lighter. There we go. 5 of the 6. So if I'm looking here, that means that only one piece should be left white because I'm going to do all 5, leaving 1 of the 6 white. Down here, I asked you to do 1/2. I no longer gave you the lines. So now you have to really think, okay, what is 1/2 of this shape? Now, this is a shape we've already divided into fractional pieces, so that is not new. And then I'm going to come over here, and at the same time, I'm going to divide this one up, just since I already have my ruler out. And this one, I need it to be in 4ths. And then once I do that, now I can follow the rules. Okay, 1/2, well, I'm going to shade in this piece. That's 1/2. 3/4, I'm going to shade in 3 of these 4 pieces. So as you can see, kiddos, we got harder and harder and harder. We started with 1/4, then we came down here, and then the last section, you had to do all of it, start to finish. Separate it and color it in. That is the end of page 3. Any questions? Bring them with you to class. All right, this time I want you to write the fraction, and you also got to decide what you're writing the fraction of. So if I'm writing the fraction of bees, there are 3 bees for the 5 pictures. If I want to write the fraction of flowers, I would say 2/5. Over here, the fraction of clouds or rain. So there's 7 all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 of those 7 are clouds, and 5 of those 7 are raindrops. Down here, I can do the fraction of clams or starfish. And if I did the fraction of clams, it's 3 out of 6. If I did the fraction of starfish, it's also 3 out of 6. Coming over here, I have cars and trucks. 2/3 are cars, 1/3 is a truck. Down here, I have basketball, or you could say volleyball, and soccer. There's 7 altogether. 3/7 are soccer, and 4/7 are basketball or volleyball, whatever you assumed that was. And then the last one, we have apples and pears. There are 8 in total. 6 of those 8 are apples. 2 of those 8 are pears. Any questions? Bring them with you to class. Now, our last page, we are going to draw a fraction picture to show what we have here, okay? So this one says that she split her candy bar into 4 equal pieces. So what I need to do is I need to draw a candy bar. So I'm going to do that and that. And then I'm going to close them up on the sides because it says that Mia split her candy bar into 4 equal pieces. So this is going to be Mia's candy bar, and if Mia split it into 4 equal pieces, I imagine that she would split it across the top. And then I think she would also split it up and down like that. So I think that's what Mia's candy bar would look like. Over here it says that Joel folded his paper to make 6 spaces to write. So he needs 6 spaces to write. So I need to draw a piece of paper. So I think Joel had his piece of paper, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to use this to get me a piece of paper. We're going to make him a big piece of paper. And we're going to close it off on the sides. And I need to think, what would it look like if Joel folded this 6 pieces or 6 ways so that he had 6 pieces to write on? So if I'm imagining what Joel would do, I would think that the first thing Joel would do would be to fold it into half, like a hot dog bun. And then from there, I think that he would make 3 equal spots across the top, which would also make them across the bottom. So if I imagined Joel folding to make 6 equal spots, this is what I think Joel would have done. Again, not the only way, right? Because we can have different opinions as long as we end up with 6 equal pieces. Okay? Cameron cut her sandwich into 2 equal pieces. Well, we have some options here, right? Because we could say that Cameron's sandwich might be a square, or maybe Cameron's sandwich is a circle because maybe she has a roll instead of bread. Now, if Cameron had a sandwich that was a square, she could cut it across like that. Or she could also do it up and down. So both of those would be correct. If she had a circle, she could cut it across. She could cut it up and down. She could cut it side to side. Each color is a different option. She could cut her sandwich into 2 equal pieces many, many different ways. All right, over here, Doris planted her garden with 1/3 flowers and 2/3 vegetables. So I need to go ahead and make Doris's garden. Now, I imagine that Doris's garden is probably similar in shape to the candy bar. That's going to be my strategy for this picture, but is it the only strategy? Absolutely not. That's the cool thing about math is we all bring our own creative thinking into it. So if you came up with a different shape, that's absolutely fine. Now I noticed that her garden is going to be cut into 3 pieces. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to cut her garden into thirds, and I'm going to say, you're a third, and we'll go about there. So now that she has her thirds, 1/3 needs to be flowers. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, you are a flower. And then 2/3 are vegetables. So I'm going to make this one some corn. And then I'm going to make, I don't have an orange. Let's see if we can find a close enough color. We'll call this, that is definitely not orange. We'll go with green because we already have it. We're going to do some green beans. Now, those of you that have been with me long enough know I am not an artiste, so just go with it. 1/3 is now flowers, 2/3 are now vegetables. Sanjay and Wolf are sharing a table evenly. This is going to be very, very similar to our sandwich question, right? Because maybe their table is a square. Or maybe their table is a circle, or maybe their table is a rectangle. We have lots and lots of options as long as they're sharing it equally. So if they had a square table, they could share it by cutting it in half this way, or they could share by cutting it in half this way, or they really want to go wild, they could share it by cutting it in half this way. Just some options. If they had a circle, they could cut it up and down. They could cut it across. They could cut it any way they want. Same with the rectangle. So totally up to you how you want to show that, but whatever your shape is, it needs to be cut into halves. And then the last one, Lauren reads 3/5 of her book yesterday and 2/5 of them today. So we have some options. We can draw each book separately if we want to do a group, right, where we were talking about what they would look like. So I could say, okay, here's her books, book 1, book 2, book 3. And then over here, I'm going to do her 2 books for today. So these would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books altogether. This would represent our 3/5, and this would represent our 2/5 if we're talking about items that are individual. So we're not cutting a book into 3 pieces and 2 pieces, right? We're cutting her collection of books into a group of 3 and a group of 2. Now, maybe your brain didn't think that way. Maybe you thought, well, what if I take a shape like a square or a rectangle, and I want to show how to cut that into fifths. So maybe I did something like this. That would be absolutely fine. You could use a shape like this and say, I'm going to make 2 of them blue and 3 of them yellow. That would have been absolutely fine. But since we're talking about wholes and groups, this is just another way to show it. Okay. Any questions, sweet faces? Please bring them with you to class. Have a great day.